Hey, Anna Taylor here from the Anna Taylor Radio Podcast Show. Want to know where you can find me? All over the place. Try Facebook and Instagram, Anna Taylor Radio. On TikTok, it's the @ Anna Taylor Radio Now. On X, formerly known as Twitter, it's the @ Anna T Radio. You can listen to this podcast at anchor.fm/Anna Taylor Radio Now, or just go to Spotify, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, and just type in Anna Taylor Radio to find me. To watch this podcast, you can go to my YouTube channel, which is Anna Taylor Radio Channel. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, or want to be a guest on my show, or just contact me, please email me at annataylorradio@gmail.com. If you would like to donate or gift this podcast show, you can gift it to Cash App, which is the $ symbol in all lowercase, Anna Taylor Radio Now. And PayPal with the @ symbol, all lowercase, Anna Taylor Radio. I appreciate all your support and everyone who listens or watches this podcast show. Hey guys, well, we made it. It's the 10th week, technically 11th with the introduction episode. However, if you're counting from the first episode, we're on our 10th week, 10th and last episode. Okay. I'm Anna Taylor of Anna Taylor Radio, talking about what most don't. Oh my God, we made it. This is episode 10, the final episode of the Love Project series. This is called Increasing Your Bond for Closer Intimacy. Okay. Let's do some house cleaning as usual. If you hear any noises, I have my window open because the weather is nice outside, but I live near a road where there's a lot of loud trucks and fire trucks and things that go by. So if you hear sounds, that's what it is. Okay. I'm so glad you're here with me. Hello. Hope you're having a good day. All right. So don't forget, I have other episodes on my podcast. Please go take a listen to support. It helps support my podcast. If you can't help financially support my podcast, then at the very least, listen to my other episodes because it bumps up my listener support. Okay. And if you need them, stay tuned after this episode for resources. Don't forget your journals. You got your journal ready? You should know better. You should have your journal ready. If you do, good job. Last but not least, your 30-day self-love experiment check-in. How you doing with it? What day are you on? Did you do it today? If not, do it after this episode. Okay? I'm proud of all of you who are doing this with me. I'm so proud. And episode 10, segment 1, Increasing Your Bond for Closer Intimacy, the Love Project. Take 2 in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. So let's get into this. Okay. This is all about intimacy, which can be with all kinds of mainly 3 types of relationships. Well, coworkers too, but romantic relationships, family relationships, friendships, coworkerships, ships. Just kidding. So what is intimacy? Intimacy is basically the feeling of closeness, and it's a bond with another person. It's also a foundation for a strong, long-lasting relationship. And if you think about it, the basic thing is it's a connection. This can be with all types of relationships, as I mentioned, friends, family, romantic partners. And as I go, I'm going to read off my tablet. Again, I've done this before in an episode before because it's just good info. But just to reference really quick, the website I'm referencing this from is mindbodygreen.com. I'll post that in the description in case you want to go check it out. But I'm going to go over the 5 types of intimacy. Okay. So here we go. Here's examples of intimacy. If I can find the spots. Here we go. I gotta make it bigger because I'm blind as a bat. All right, so the 5 types of intimacy in any relationship. Well, not any relationship, because some of this is not meant for friends or family, okay? Some of it's meant for your romantic partner only. Understand? So, the first one is physical intimacy. Intimacy and sex are widely considered synonymous, and it makes sense why. Intimacy is about closeness, and intercourse is about as close as possible to another human that we can physically get, right? Physical intimacy is about creating feelings of closeness and connection through using your bodies and physical touch, which can include sex as well as non-sexual touch, such as kissing, various types of hugs, and just cuddling. According to marriage therapist Kendra Jackson, touch is important to relationships because it triggers the release of oxytocin and other feel-good hormones. Oxytocin is known as a bonding hormone. That hormone is the same hormone released between a newborn baby and its mother, which is why skin-to-skin contact with the baby and mother is highly recommended for bonding after childbirth. Very important. So some examples of physical intimacy. Of course, sex. Let's talk about sex, baby. Okay, I'm not even going to go there. But sexual intercourse, oral sex, cuddling, kissing, hugging, holding hands, sitting closer together, or any type of skin-to-skin contact you ordinarily wouldn't have with someone but your romantic partner. The second type of intimacy is emotional intimacy. Okay. Emotional intimacy involves candid, authentic sharing of thoughts and feelings. It involves being able to tell each other your deepest fears, dreams, disappointments, and most complicated emotions, as well as feeling seen and understood when you do. Emotional intimacy means both you and your partner feel safe and comfortable with this type of uninhibited expression around each other. This quote-unquote safe space is cultivated by each person refraining from judgment or contempt when the other is sharing. We confide in people whom we trust. That doesn't mean that they always tell us what we want to hear, but we believe they won't repeat anything we share in confidence. We also don't expect them to embarrass or belittle us. What are some examples of emotional intimacy? Well, a couple has a long, tender conversation about what they want out of their relationship, as well as what's still scary to them right now. They emerge from the conversation, feeling closer than ever and more understood by each other. Bear with me. I got to put my glasses on because I am blind. I have this tablet like damn near my face. If you're watching this, you're going to see glares in my glasses. I apologize. All right. The next example of emotional intimacy, all right, is a woman comes home and tells her partner all about a stressful incident that she experienced at work, including feelings she didn't feel safe expressing to her coworkers at the time. Her partner asks questions to help her process the experience and validates her emotions. Okay. Another example is a man expresses that his partner maintaining relationships with exes makes him uncomfortable. It does me too. That's a big no-no in any relationship I'm with. You do not no. Exes is a bit. I don't talk to my exes. I don't contact my exes. I don't give a fuck about my exes. Okay, exes are exes for a reason. So don't be having them friends on your Facebook or Instagram. Don't be sliding up in each other's DMs or calling each other. Don't even have them still contacting your phone. Don't even be thinking about them. Shit. I'm your partner now, not them. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, definitely. But anyway, so the man expresses that his partner maintaining a relationship with his exes make him feel uncomfortable. So his partner works to empathize with his concerns instead of making the case that he's paranoid. Another example is a woman confides in her spouse that she's unhappy with her body after having a baby. Been there. She trusts that her partner, she trusts her partner to offer comfort and help her come up with solutions if desired rather than dismiss her feelings or call her fat, which that's what happened to me. You're fat. You're fat. I was even called that when I was pregnant. Like, come on. What the hell? Anyway, moving on. Another example. A person shares with their partner that they were bullied as a child. Their partner is attentive and takes this situation seriously and offers a ton of emotional support. See, this is the ideal thing to do as a partner. So if you're not doing this, you need to start. Okay. Number 3 type of intimacy, okay, is intellectual intimacy. Comfort with communicating beliefs and viewpoints without worrying about potential conflicts creates intellectual intimacy. Each person in the relationship has the freedom to think for themselves and believes that their opinions are valued instead of feeling pressured to agree. So basically, it's like, well, I think that this and this and that and that. And then someone goes, well, I disagree. I don't think that and that. What do you mean? I mean, but that and that and this and that, right? 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 Like pressuring the person to be like, okay, right. No, not right. I disagree with you. And then it sometimes turns into an argument. Or they'll be like, why do you always go against me? Well, because I fucking disagree with you, and that's okay. Tough shit. It's okay to disagree. All right. So, but instead of feeling pressured to agree, yeah, nobody wants to be pressured to agree. If you disagree, you fucking disagree. And if the person disagrees, then fucking deal with it, get over it. I'm not get over it, but it's okay for someone to disagree with you, man. This atmosphere encourages stimulating conversation. We're talking about intellectual intimacy here. You feel closer to the person who cares for you, independent of differences, and respects your voice. Examples of intellectual intimacy. That's almost a tongue twister. Intellectual intimacy. All right. Example number 1. Partners debate the importance of college education. Hey, we went over education, didn't we? That was a long episode. So partners debate the importance of a college education. Neither feels the need to be quote unquote right. So they just enjoy hearing the other person's rationale. Example number 2. A couple disagrees about which actor played the best Joker. Each person understands that their theory is strictly opinion-based and enjoys the back and forth. Back and forth. What is up with me pulling up these old school songs? I don't even know. Next example. Spouses discuss the purpose of existence. Ooh, that's a deep combo. They don't believe there's a concrete answer to the question, what's the meaning of life? Each entertains ideas they may not have considered otherwise. The next example, which is the last one for intellectual intimacy. A couple reads and discusses a book together. The two are eager to compare their takeaways instead of telling one another what the author meant. The term sapiosexual refers to someone who finds intelligence sexually attractive and arousing. I do. Oh, yeah. And, it's not like if you're stupid, I'm not going to like or love you. I mean, I consider myself, quote unquote, stupid sometimes. Sometimes I don't know things because if you don't know, you don't know. You haven't been exposed to it or introduced to it yet. Maybe you just don't know. Ignorance is bliss, right? Or maybe you forgot or don't remember, or, some people are just a little slow. That's okay. But I know me personally, it's like in some ways I'm slow, but yet I am highly intelligent. But a man that is smart as fuck, I mean, yes, sir. But the term sapiosexual refers to someone who finds intelligence sexually attractive or arousing, allowing for thought-provoking conversation that challenges each person's ideas and another formidable method of bonding in a relationship, as long as no one feels personally attacked. Talk to me, honey, because we gonna end up in the bed, right? because, physical intimacy. So, example of types of intimacy. The fourth one, experimental intimacy. Shared experiences lead to inside jokes and private memories that can intensify a connection. The act of teamwork and moving in unison toward a common goal while creating an experience also establishes a feeling of closeness. This bond is the result of experimental intimacy. Quote unquote, our memories are closely linked to our senses. Relationship coach Kingsley Moyo tells MBG, which is mindbodygreen.com. Okay. Moyo references how we can recall the odor of burned rubber even if we haven't smelled it in a while. He likens experimental intimacy to social media actions, stating that, quote unquote, we tag people and events with an associated sense. Moyo goes on to explain that recalling moments triggers involuntary sensory reactions. If the moment was pleasurable, it prompts the same energy then relived. So, some examples of experimental intimacy would be a couple trains for and runs a marathon together. That sounds fun. This allows them to support and push each other towards a confidence building achievement. Interesting. That would be fun. Another example would be partners cook a joint meal. One prepares the entree and the other makes dessert or side dishes to help foster teamwork. Teamwork. So have each other's backs, basically. The next example would be a couple goes for an extended bike ride. Someone responsible for planning the route while the other packs snacks and water. So somebody plans the route that you're going to take on the bikes, and the other one packs snacks and water. The next one, example of experimental intimacy. Two lovebirds who get a room. Just kidding. Two lovebirds visit a city. Excuse me. I can't read today, apparently. Take two. Two lovebirds visit a city neither person has been to before, so that both will discover it for the first time together. Let me read that again. Two lovebirds visit a city neither person has been to before, so that both will discover it for the first time together. Aw. So if you've never been to Paris together, take a trip to Paris. Oh, that's romantic as crap, y'all. I'd take a trip. All right. The fifth and last type of intimacy is, I think this is actually very important, in my opinion, but spiritual intimacy. Religious practice is not necessary for spiritual intimacy. You do not have to be religious to be spiritual, okay? Though it can serve the purpose. This closeness forms when you share poignant moments with your partner. Through prayer and worshiping as a couple could qualify as one such moment. There are many other examples of spiritual intimacy, which are, one example is partners watch the sunrise or set together, jointly marveling at the phenomenon. That's beautiful. That is some quality time right there. That's very meaningful because I love sunsets and sunrises. It's beautiful. Another example is spiritual intimacy. A couple takes a walk through the park while holding hands, enjoying the beauty of nature as well as each other. Another example, spouses connect as they stand in quiet awe overlooking the Grand Canyon. How majestic, right? Yes. The next example would be partners discuss their ethics, sense of purpose, and personal definitions of spirituality. The discussion deepens their understanding of each other. And I've been in these conversations. They get deep, but they're good conversations and needed conversations, honestly. The last but not least example of spiritual intimacy is a couple reads a few passages from their religious texts before bed every night. Doing so helps them relax and feel mutually attuned with a power greater than themselves. Or you can meditate together. Spiritual intimacy allows for transcendent connection beyond logic and conscious thought. It helps to be deliberate in improving this type of closeness, although sometimes these instances may just happen since they can occur outside your realm of influence. Now, I'm going to go over my notes, but I'm going to go over this website's ways to build intimacy in a relationship. So I'll do this one first and then do mine. So how to build intimacy in a relationship? Well, the first one is increasing physical intimacy. In addition to making sex and physical touch a priority in your relationship, because it is a priority. Sex is a priority in a relationship. You have to have sex. Have to. Okay. You don't have to be a sex fiend, but don't withhold it either, because that's just abusive. Okay. So in addition to making sex and physical touch priorities in your relationship, there are many ways to have more romantic sex too, such as making use of eye gazing. If you're watching this on my podcast on YouTube, I'm gazing at you. I'm silly. To have more romantic sex too, such as making use of eye gazing, kissing, and more intimate sex positions. Have you ever heard of Kama Sutra or the tantric sex? All right. So more intimate sex positions with your partner. Some people also draw a distinction between making love and having sex. Yes, there is a distinction between making love and act, because there's making love, which is more passionate, meaningful, it's just beautiful. And then there's, I'm gonna be straight up. There's you fuck. It's fucking, okay? There's fucking and making love. Fucking, making love. Okay, there's making love, which is more meaningful, passionate, and then there's fucking, which really has no emotion, no nothing. It's just you just want to nut and get it over with, or it's quickie, or it may be fiery or whatever, but it's not really meaningful. You just want to fuck. You know what I mean? I'm just being straight up. So, but anyway, some people also draw a distinction between making love and having sex, which can help you think about the ways in which you infuse intimacy into your sexual experiences. The next one is how to, oh, Jesus, I'm sorry. Losing my place here. How to build intimacy in a relationship is increasing emotional intimacy. Okay. It's how you can build more intimacy in your relationship. Increasing emotional intimacy. You can foster emotional intimacy in your relationships by engaging in deeper, more introspective conversations together, talking about emotions and experiences you don't usually share with others. Likewise, ask your partner thoughtful questions and be curious about the way they think and feel. Listen to understand rather than waiting to respond. So if your partner's talking, genuinely listen to what they're saying and pay attention. Don't sit there in your head and try to be thinking of what you're going to say next. No, you hear what they have to say. You stay quiet, keep your mind quiet, and hear them out. Then you think and speak. Okay. So, I lost my place. Okay. Listen to understand rather than waiting to respond. Always be careful not to invalidate their feelings so that you can establish an environment conducive to open, honest dialogue. Number 3, third way, is increasing intellectual intimacy. You can create more intellectual intimacy by sparking discussions where you and your partner have different perspectives. Making a conscious effort to have these talks without growing defensive or angry. Disagreement isn't a requirement, however. You can also discuss ideas and abstract concepts that you're exploring together. This type of intimacy is about connecting through logic and philosophical expression. The 4th way to increase your bond and intimacy is increasing experimental intimacy. You hear that loud noise outside, motorcycle. Embark on new adventures with your partner to increase experimental intimacy. Plan activities that you haven't yet done together, or schedule a standing date to meet at the same restaurant so that it becomes your spot. Like, this is our spot. This is our drink. Each person in a couple can have separate lives. You don't have to collaborate on everything, but it's crucial to have shared experiences. This way, your intimacy is interwoven and with memories and acquired knowledge, it exists in multiple spaces. Okay. So last but not least, increasing spiritual intimacy. Talk about spirituality with your partner so that each of you can discover experiences that the other considers awe-inspiring. Then regularly schedule time to engage in those and similar endeavors. The good thing about spiritual intimacy is that you don't have to exert much effort aside from creating opportunities. Let the moment do the work. Okay. Now, what if you have a fear of intimacy? A lot of people do. What to do about fear of intimacy? Well, if the vulnerability required to achieve intimacy feels scary or foreign, you're not alone. Fear of intimacy holds a purpose, and most likely it's protection, quote unquote. De La Torre says. I don't know who that is, but that's who said that. But all that means is that you need alternative ways of feeling safe. People who are afraid of being intimate often have the desire, she says, but the fear of being hurt and disappointed is stronger. The first thing she does with clients, I guess this is a doctor saying this, in this situation is to explore what's getting in the way. Often the client is holding on to a negative experience. Doctor, I guess, or therapist, whoever this person is, De La Torre's advice for overcoming fear of intimacy is to, quote unquote, start with building an intimate relationship with yourself so that you can get comfortable with the feeling. The non-physical types of intimacy listed here are 4 types of relationships that you can have with the same person. Healthy relationships involve relating on multiple levels, not just physical. Learning to engage in open, truthful communication, as well as working to understand your partner, will help establish the intangible feeling of closeness that will strengthen your love life. Okay. Very interesting information. Now, next on to what I wrote down. All right. And also to add, why is having a close bond and intimacy so important? Or it's basically the foundation of a strong, long-lasting relationship. And why keeping intimacy active in your relationship is so important. Well, without intimacy, your relationship will suffer and will not last because it just won't. Seriously. And it can cause serious emotional, psychological, and mental, all kinds of damage to somebody. Okay. Let's say, for instance, you're withholding sex. You haven't had sex in months, weeks, years, right? And your partner has been yearning for you, but either you have no sex drive, or maybe you have something medically wrong, or maybe maybe you're just a cheating, low-life piece of shit who maybe gets on the internet and looks up sluts all the time, or watches porn behind your partner's back, and you get the supply and selfishly take care of yourself, meanwhile neglecting, rejecting, and ignoring your partner, which hurts them drastically. Like, it traumatizes a person like that when you withhold sex. It really does. Or too much sex, practically forcing it. That's almost like rape. So if your partner says no, it's no, but don't withhold it. Okay. Make a regularly scheduled sex life. Okay. You need to be having sex. I mean, you can have sex every single day. Once a day is healthy too. But, on average, at least 3 to 4 times a week. Okay. 3 to 4 times out of 7 days a week. No shit. Okay. And even if no sex, at least, oral sex, or, some kind of kinky, or, foreplay or something. Okay. Because let me tell you, having no sex or intimate, physical touch, it's detrimental to your partner. You're hurting your partner, and not only hurting them, you're abusing them. Okay. Disrespecting them and ruining your relationship. Don't be a piece of shit. Okay. Now, moving on. I'm sorry. I call those types of people pieces of shit because it's abusive. It really is. I've been through it myself, so I know what it feels like. I've been through both sides. I've been through forcing sex, and I've been through withholding. So, Anyway, moving on. So, ways to bond that can potentially increase your intimacy is through respect. integrity, trust, commitment. Things you do, quote unquote, behind closed doors. When your partner's not around, what the fuck are you doing? Huh? Are you getting on the internet looking at porn or getting on TikTok and looking through all the sluts and whores and women shaking their booty, getting all half naked? Or men? What you doing? What you doing behind? Are you taking care of yourself there? Meanwhile, forget your partner's needs, right? They have needs, but screw that. I'll take care of myself. Every chance you get when they're not around, what are you doing? What are you doing behind their back? Is it literally trustworthy and honest, or are you really doing something you're not supposed to do? Being faithful, being thoughtful, being genuine and authentic, having fun, being vulnerable, or okay with being vulnerable, being open, transparent, and honest with your partner, and be open to touch and deep conversations. So those are ways. Oh, and make your partner your priority. Period. 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 If you're a man, do not make other women a priority over your woman. If you're a woman, do not make any other men priority over your man. Ever. Period. You don't do that. Ever. Your partner is your number one. Period. Okay? So, that's the end of segment 1. We're about to get into it's the last week, y'all. It's the last episode. Episode 10. Next, we're going to get into segment 2. We're going to get into our learning experience and exercise. So prepare for that. Get your journals out if you don't have them out already. And we're going to do some work here, y'all. I hope you're working on stuff. And I know that that long episode we had, about the finances and education and things like that. That was a long episode, and it's a lot of work too, but keep working on it. Keep documenting, keep your progress. All right. Not kidding. Or else this isn't going to work. Okay. Be the change you want to be and see. So getting into segment 2, the learning exercise the learning experience and exercise. Here we go. All right, guys, this is the tail end of everything, the last segment of the entire series. Second segment of this episode 10 of Increasing Your Bond for Closer Intimacy of the Love Project series. Okay. Now we're going to get into learning experience, your last learning experience and your last exercise. So here we go. Learning experience. Okay. Got your journal? Grab your journal. In your journal, I want you to write down 3 people that you have a relationship with. It could be your partner, whether your husband, wife, boyfriend, or whatever, your partner, or it could be a friend, or it could be your child, or it could be a cousin, or it can be a coworker. Pick 3 people you have relationships with, okay? And write them down. All right. Now, you can do this in as like a table or whatever, however you want to write it down, okay? For those watching, all right, I have an example as how you can write it on the paper, but I'll show you guys that in a second. I'll try to explain it the best I can to those who are listening, okay? But if you're watching this on my YouTube channel, which is Anna Taylor Radio channel on YouTube, all right, I have an example that I wrote on a piece of paper. Hopefully it'll show up on the camera. But if you're listening on anchor.fm/Anna Taylor Radio now, or Anna Taylor Radio on either Spotify, Google Podcasts, or Apple Podcasts, I'll try to explain it the best I can. But you want to write down 3 people you have relationships with, okay? Now, I want you to assess each of these relationships, and I want you to give each relationship a rating from 1 to 5. 1 being having the least intimacy and or bond, and 5 being the most strongest and closest bond or intimacy, okay? Now, you wrote down 3 people you have relationships with. Now, think of these relationships, this person, that person, that person, and assess it. So let's start with the first person. So we're going to rate them. The first person, 1 being you have the least amount of bond or intimacy, you're not very close anymore, or you don't talk anymore, or like pretty much almost no relationship left. Or you're going to rate them up to, you can do 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, or 5 being the most closest, strongest. Are you really close to them? You go to the next person. Are you really close and bonded to them, or are you not? If you're not, give a 1. If you're kind of, give a 2. If you're a little bit more, give a 3. If you're kind of close, give a 4. And a 5 being the most. Third person, same thing. Now, next, after you rated these people from 1 to 5, take your rating 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and depending on what number, now pay attention, depending on what rating or number you gave, whether a 1, a 2, a 3, or a 5, 4 or 5, that rating that you gave them, I want you to write what ways you can do to connect and strengthen things with your bond, or strengthen your bond with each person. Okay. To connect and strengthen and make your relationship at its best. So here's the thing here. Okay. You've rated each person, right? Let's say this person has a 2. The next person, they're a 5. Let's say the next person is a 4. Okay. Now that you have them rated, the first person's a 1, the second person's a 5, and the third person's a 4. Okay. I want you to think of some ways that you can increase that relationship and make it better, increase the bond and make it better. Think of ways. I gave you some examples earlier, right? Now, what I need you to do, now that you got the person and you rated them, you either have a 1, 2, 3, or 4 or 5. Let's so we want the relationship. Take 2, segment 2, increasing your bond for better intimacy, closer intimacy, love project, and 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. So you want the relationship to be at its best. So let's say person number 1, you gave a rating of 1 because you really, let's say it's a sibling, okay? Let's say you have a brother, right? And because sibling rivalry happens. I personally hope and pray to the heavens or whatever someday that my kids do not grow up to fight or hate each other or stop talking to each other or completely disown each other. But it happens, okay? But I hope my kids don't do that. God, I hope not. I hate that when that happens. But let's say hypothetically you have a brother, okay? You have a sister. Let's say hypothetically, just for example, you have a brother. You're not very close anymore, okay? You stop talking to each other. You don't communicate anymore. You live in separate states, separate lives. And you just don't really have much of a bond or closeness anymore, right? You haven't hugged each other in a while. You haven't high-fived each other in a while. That's part of physical intimacy, right? Or anything like that. You haven't even seen them in person, talk to them. You don't know what they look like anymore. Have they gained 100 pounds? Have they lost 100 pounds? Well, we don't know. But you rated them a 1 because you really don't have much of a relationship or bond with your brother anymore, okay? So I need you to write down 4 things because 4 plus 1 is what? 5. 5 is the ideal number because, like I said, 1 to 5. 5 is being the most closest bond. We want you to get up to that best relationship possible, right? So because you rated them a 1, you need 4 ways. I give you examples. Okay, go back and rewind this episode if you need to. If you need to call, maybe call them, email them, or message them. Maybe it could be the first one. Second one could be take a trip and go visit them. If they're fairly, maybe they're in state, but like a few counties or cities away, go visit them. Just show up at their door. Send them a letter, or maybe, and then the 4th thing could be, maybe, I don't know, send them flowers. Or send them a gift from Amazon. I don't know. Say, hey, brother, let's reconnect. Something. 4 ways. Okay. Let's go. Or if they're in town, if they live in the same city as you, hey brother, let's go see a game or something. I don't know. That's 4 different examples of ways that you can increase that bond and intimacy, right, with your brother. You already rated them a 1. So you already got 1 point. Now you call them or go take a trip and see them or ask them if they want to go to a ball game, or you can write them a letter. That's 4 examples. Boom, 5, right? 5 being the closest bond possible. So write down 4 things because you rated them 1. Understand? Now let's say, for example, the second person that you wrote down, a relationship person that you wrote down is, let's say, husband or wife. Let's say you're a woman and you wrote down your husband. Let's say you're a man and you wrote down your wife. Okay. Your spouse. We'll just put down spouse. Okay. And let's say you rated your spouse a 3. Maybe you guys have not been very close or haven't had sex in a while, a long while, maybe months, maybe years. Maybe you started becoming distant with each other a little bit, not spending much quality time together. Maybe life is getting in the way, or your time consumed by maybe kids or jobs or house cleaning, whatever's getting in the way, or whatever the case may be, or somebody's being avoidant, or whatever. But you rated your spouse a 3. The ideal is 5. So now you need to write 2 things. 3 plus 2 is 5, being the best, most closest bond and intimacy. 3. So you rate him a 3. Write down 2 ways that you can increase your bond and intimacy with your spouse. Okay. Maybe flirt with them. Take them on a date. Give them oral sex. Whatever. Buy them flowers or have a conversation. Intellectual intimacy. Remember 5 different types? It doesn't have to be physical. 2 ways you increase your bond and intimacy to get it to its best. 5. Okay. Now, we're going on to the third relationship. Okay. Which I'm going to give examples of 2 different types of, it's going to be the third relationship we wrote down, but I'm going to give you an example of 2 different types because you're going to rate, do this different. So I'll get into that. So let's say the third person you wrote down is your best friend, right? Your bestie. If it's a girl, it's your bestie. If it's a guy, it's your best friend, man. It's your bro. All right. And let's say you rated them a 4 because y'all are pretty damn close. Y'all go way back. Y'all grew up in school together. You played football together. You cheerleaded together, right? You maybe kissed a boy for the first time together, or skinny dip together for the first time, whatever. You got a pretty decent bond, but it's not the best. It's not a 5 because maybe life's gotten in the way and you just haven't spent a lot of time with each other recently, or maybe you haven't talked to each other in a while and you need to catch up, or maybe just whatever your reason, but you rated them a 4 and we want a 5, right? So write down 1 thing. It's 4 plus 1 is 5. Write down 1 thing that you can do to increase that bond or intimacy with your bestie or your buddy, your best friend. Okay. So 1 thing you do, hey man, let's go see a game. Hey, you want to play some football? Want to come over for a beer? Or let's go do our nails together. Or hey girl, let's go buy some clothes together. We ain't been seeing you in a while, and have a good conversation maybe. What's going on? Get stuff going on in your life, stuff like that. Have a good conversation with your best friend, and make it a 5. Now, another example, okay, let's say you put your third person as your child, right? Let's say you rated your child a 5 because that's the closest, because there ain't no bond between parent and child like a 5. That's the closest bond I think anybody can have with a kid, unless you're an abusive, low-life piece of shit who's a shitty parent. But for those who are good parents who love your kids, let's say you rated a 5, which is the most, strongest, closest bond and relationship, right? That's a 5. Well, under that, let's say that was your third person. If you're writing things that you could do to better your bond with that person or that relationship, well, they're at a 5, right? So how can we make it better? It's already at a 5. Well, this is what I want you to do. I want you to +1 that. If you put your spouse as a 5, If you put your grandma as a 5, your child as a 5, if you put anyone on that list of those 3 people, a 5, I want you to +1 it. Okay. Technically making it 6. So even though it's at its best, okay, how can you make it even better, right? Like most just memorable, right? So write one thing. So even if you wrote a 4, rated a 4, write one thing. If you rated a 5, write one thing. 4 or 5, you're gonna write one thing that you can do to increase or better your bond, strengthen your relationship. Okay. So if it's your grandma, maybe go to your grandma's house and cook with her. That's a special time together. Or maybe your spouse. Let's say you put a 5 for your spouse, man, y'all are close. Well, one up it. What can you do? Maybe give them a really good massage, right? Don't send them to a massage therapist. You give them a massage and do a good job at it too. It might lead to a little physical intimacy, right? Maybe not. But give them a really good massage. And I'm talking like, because I know my muscles hurt like crap. And I can't take this little light. No, stick your hands in my muscles and right, loosen those muscles up. Give them a really good massage. Or even if they don't like the hardcore massage, give them what they want. Again, 5 love languages. Give them the love they need and want, and the touch that they want and need and feel comfortable with. So if they don't like the hardcore, I like tough massages. Okay, I need strength. Okay, but if they don't like that, and they want a more give them a more sensual and softer massage, like a feathery one. Even get some feathers and maybe like run it up and down their body and just kind of like softly caress and just do a massage. So that could be your 1 up for your spouse, for that relationship. You understand what I'm saying with the rating system? Okay, good. If you don't, rewind it and listen to it over again. So that's your 1 up to make and get the relationship at its best. Okay. Now we're going on to the exercise, the last exercise in this podcast series. Here we go. So look over your list of relationships. Okay. The three relationships you wrote down and the ratings, and the ways that you can improve. And I want you, again, how I've been giving you these challenges. You have 2 weeks. Okay. Write down in your journal today's date. Look in your calendar. Exactly 2 weeks away. What is that date? Write that down. So from today's date to that date in 2 weeks, you've got 2 weeks. Okay. To initiate and act upon what you wrote. Okay. So if you wrote a 3 and you had and you wrote 2 ways to increase your bond or intimacy with that relationship, you have 2 weeks to work on initiating and acting upon 1 to 2 of those things. Now, if you wrote a 1 and you wrote down 4 things that you need to do to increase to make it better, just do 1 to 2 things. Okay. I'm not going to overload you on this. Okay. You don't have to do all 4 of those things to initiate and act upon and do within 2 weeks. No, pick 1 to 2 things out of those 4. It could be this one. It could be that one. It could be this one. Just 2 things out of the 4 to act on and do. Okay. Pick 2 things and do them. All right. You have 2 weeks to do this and complete. All right. Remember, keep up with the progress and documentation. All right. Now, let's say, for example, your brother. All right. You wrote a 1. It's not a close relationship, right? And you wrote 4 things down. You pick 2 things, whatever. And let's say you call him or write him a letter or go to his house or show up at his work to try to initiate and act on the thing, the 2 things that you wrote down to better your bond and increase your bond and relationship. Now, let's say it's your brother or said person, whoever it is that you wrote down, is not open to this and they reject you. Okay. Let's say he's like, I'm done. Okay. For any reason, even if it hurts. Okay. Which it may hurt you, it may get you right there, stab in the heart, right? Even if it hurts, but let it go, just let it go. Don't fight him over. You can't make somebody, be your friend or brother or whatever. If they don't want anything to do with you or the family, or they're just like, look, I got my life, you got yours. Peace out, dude. I know you're my brother. We're of the same blood. We may have the same dad, same mom, or not. We may be adopted brother and sister, whatever the case may be. But I don't want you in my life anymore. If they reject you, okay, and you have put in the effort to act upon two of those four things because you rated them a one, count that as completed in your journal. Okay. You made the effort. That's all that's cool. That's cool with me. That's all you need. Okay. If you made the effort and they reject you, that's out of your control. Okay. Because you can't force them. So you made the effort, check that off your list that you completed those tasks. Okay. You don't need to move on to the next, if you wrote down four things and pick two, you don't need to pick the other, try the other two to see if it'll work. No, you did what you did. You picked two, you tried it, you acted upon it, you called him, or you went there and he was just not open to it, or whoever wasn't open to it. Check it off your list that it's completed. Okay. Totally completed. And that'll be, fine. That's totally fine. So now that concludes your learning experience and last exercise for the last episode, episode 10. Okay. Yay. We made it, you guys. Good job. I'm proud of you guys. Oh my gosh. I'm so proud of you. I'm so proud of you. I love you guys. We did it. We did it. But you still have to put in the work. So even though this is the last episode of this series, you still got work to do in the next couple of weeks. And like I said, please, if you don't mind, and if you need help with anything or reminders, or if you want me to send you a reminder, even because I told you, in some of the episodes, I'm like, you got a week to do this. Write down today's date and then a week from now's date. You got from this date to that date, a week to do this, or 2 weeks. From this date to that date, you got 2 weeks. You have a few challenges there where you got a lot of time to have it done by, right? If you need me to send you reminders, email me, AnnaTaylorRadio@gmail.com. I do not mind helping you out. You got questions about it or don't understand something, email me. If you did this and you completed everything and you want to share your experience, email me, AnnaTaylorRadio@gmail.com. If you would like to type up your experience, whether it worked or it semi-worked, or some of it worked, some of it didn't, or I totally hated it. It sucked. I didn't like the work that I had to do. Like, you made us do a lot of shit and I hated it. I will never listen to podcasts again. Tell me about it. And let me know. Also, notate if you want me to share it on my podcast. All right, your experience. And side note on that, if you want it to be anonymous or for me to share your name, okay? Or I can call you something else. If your name is Chuck, and you're like, I don't want people knowing, my name on the show as Chuck, we can call you Larry. So I'll be Larry, shared his experience. Or I'll be like an anonymous listener or watcher emailed me their experience and they want me to share it on the show, and I'll share it. Okay. Let me know if you want to share it. Let me know if you want to share your name or be anonymous. Okay. That concludes the last episode of the Love Project series. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for being here with me, supporting this podcast. Okay. I'm here to help you. I'm really like, I just give from my heart. I really hope this helps. I really, 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 really do, because I put a lot of work into planning this, writing the episodes out, recording everything, editing, post-production, marketing, dropping, everything that went into this series. I busted my fucking ass for you guys. Okay. For free. I haven't gotten paid for this unless you choose to financially gift or support this podcast, which I would be very grateful. However, other than that, it's free. Okay. I'm not making you pay for the course or anything like that. However, that would be a good idea, but I really want to help people because that's just my calling. So good job, guys. I'm so proud of you, but you still have work to do. Don't give up. Do not give up on your tasks and challenges. And if you're doing the 30-day science experiment, which is the self-love experiment, keep on doing that. Keep doing it. If you're on day 20, you got 10 days left. If you're on day 15, you got 15 days left. If you're on day 25, you got 5 days left. However many days you're in, whatever days you got left, keep doing it. You haven't done, like I said earlier when I cleaned house, at 30-day, doing a check-in. If you haven't done it today, do it after this episode. Reminder. Okay. If you got to set a reminder on your watch or your phone or whatever, do it. Set a reminder on an alarm if you have to remind yourself, but do it every single day. If you miss a day, it's not the end of the world. Just continue the next day and count. Like if that was your 6th day and you missed it, then your next day is your 6th day. So, okay. Thank you again. Thank you. I can't thank you guys so much. I mean, enough. I can't thank you enough. My name is Anna Taylor from the Anna Taylor Radio Podcast Show, talking about what most don't. This was the Love Project series. Thank you so much. I hope you stay safe. See you next time. Hear you next time. Talk to you next time. Goodbye. Hey, it's Anna here from the Anna Taylor Radio Podcast Show. If you or someone you know who is in a crisis or suffering in some way, who needs help or is in a bad situation, here is a list of resources to help them along the way so that they can get the help they need. Grab a pen and paper. This is very important. For the suicide hotline, you can call or text 988. For self-harm, 1-800-366-8288. For abortion, 1-866-439-4253. For adoption, 1-800-367-2367. For eating disorders, 1-800-931-2237. For bullying, 1-800-420-1479. For LGBTQ+, 1-866-488-7386. For sexual assault, 1-800-656-4673. For domestic violence, 1-800-799-7233. For pregnancy and infant and child loss, 1-800-944-4773. For grief, 1-800-445-4808. And for mental health, 1-800-950-6264. And if you're in a crisis or an emergency situation, I highly recommend that you call 911. Be safe.